This is a 6-minute video covering the creation of Project Sleepwalker and the various problems found during the making of the game, which were just too hard to explain within the record of production. This includes the level loader, cutscene development, music development, inventory management system, and sound effects. The most essential part of the project was the level loader. Without it, the game would not run. This used object-oriented programming principles and was the cause for the most problems during production, with it being completely rewritten twice. The first and second iterations of the level loader used Godot custom signals to advance the game. As it would turn out, these signals were very confusing to use, which meant it was very hard to implement new levels. They would not load the required assets, thus crashing the game. My solution was dump everything and use global variables instead. This simplified the cross-script shenanigans, making it completely easier to add more levels to the game seamlessly. I added a global script only to store game-critical variables and completely rewrote the level loader to its third and final iteration. This finally worked, successfully connecting up the game-critical scripts together. This brings up to my next part, the inventory management system. I took advantage of these global variables and created arrays and inventory handlers. The process for this was very simple. The interactive objects would add that item to a global array, the UI would read that item and display it in the corner, and when used, the item would disappear from the global array and the UI. There was no problems here, and it even allowed me to add a crafting system, which just scanned for required items. The next part of the game is the 2D and 3D animation found within the game. The first two cutscenes within the game and the intro background was done within Blender using only 3D animation processes. For all of these cutscenes within the game, I used rigs for the cutscene version of my character, the one with working eyes, and modified their bones to imitate realistic movement. I took a stylized 3D animatic approach for the last of the cutscenes as they fit better within the story. The background footage showcases this process with me modifying the bones to recreate realistic movement. Cutscene 3 and the last cutscene also used automatic keyframing, which further simplified this process. No problems were found here. Later cutscenes also used 2D animation. This is done with the Critter application, animation mode, with a keyframe-based animatic style. I use automatic blank keyframes and onion skinning to aid within this process. My laptop stylus came in huge use here as it closely imitated drawing on paper, thus giving the animation a more hand-drawn, rotoscoped atmosphere. I did find problems with Critter not creating blank keyframes automatically, but that was because I did not create one at the beginning, thus not creating an animation track. That was fixed quite quickly. Finally, all of the cutscenes required video editing. After I rendered down all of the 2D and 3D animations, which rendering was quite eventful, especially when using my own laptop, as seen with this image, all of the fans were running at maximum speed and kept the laptop from thermal throttling. I used Kdenlive to apply compositions and effects to the video. For 2D animations, I created them knowing that they will be exported as separate images, all of which would need to be imported into the video editor. This is okay as I plan to apply effects within the video editor. During all of this, I kept referring back to the drawings that I did within the working drawings phase. There was only one problem found here, during the rendering of the level 3 cutscene, where Kdenlive crashed. I had to load a recovery file and did not lose a lot of progress. I think this came from my lack of RAM and effect processing, especially because I was rendering on my own laptop. Finally comes the music and sound creation. For the music, I initially used Signal for the first version of the soundtrack, however I switched to BandLab after I found out about their free tools, allowing me to arrange a better soundtrack for my game. During the making of the OST, I took inspiration from Touhou, One Shot and PMD2 Explorers of Sky soundtracks, and aimed to emulate their, mostly, calming atmosphere. Therefore, I used violins, music boxes, lo-fi pianos and the like to create an atmosphere of relaxation and slight nostalgia. It was quite a struggle picking notes, so I used a recurring motif as a bass line and applied more instruments on top of it, making sure the audience could hear all the instruments equally and clearly. All of the sound effects within the game were filmed by me, except for the wind, which was outsourced due to it being too hard to record. I recreated the player actions for real, extracted the sound, and saved that as an MP3. Most of these did not require any balancing or modifications.